If you actually can't stop yo-yo dieting and you actually want to learn how to build realistic habits and routines, get to the root cause of what's genuinely been holding you back, then welcome to this video. You need to apply this and we're gonna help you get out of that. So instead of just copying and pasting somebody else's morning routine and following it, I'm gonna teach you how to design something that is perfect for you, that's gonna get you to exactly where you want. It's gonna get you your dream body. It's gonna get you to your end goal. So number one, let's identify your weaknesses and triggers. So if you are a yo-yo dieter, it probably means that at one time you were eating really healthy and you had this strict routine and really strict habits that you were able to follow, but they weren't maintainable in the long run. And then at some point that just became too much for you, and so you fell back into your natural ways. And by addressing this root cause and then forming new habits, we're gonna be able to break that cycle, and it's just gonna be natural to you. You're not even gonna have to think about it. You're just gonna be able to make the right decisions and want to execute on them without a lot of, you know, background noise of what kind of decisions to be making. Because a lot of times, like, the amount of effort that it takes to do something is what holds you back from doing it. So looking at why it hasn't worked for you in the past. So for example, my number one weakness is sugar. I love sugar. I love sweet things. Like, I wake up in the morning, I don't want to eat anything, but I will be craving like a sweet treat. In the afternoon, I want a sweet treat. I want a sweet treat all the time. So instead of being like, no sugar ever, sugar's the enemy, I can't have sugar, I will make a homemade meal, including something that is sweet. So even like oatmeal with some berries or some honey that has like your carbs, you could put a healthy fat in it, you could put a protein in it, and now it's a sweet treat, but still gonna get me to my end goal. So instead of fighting everything and being so anti it and against it, it's like, how can I have that thing but tweak it a little bit to also still hit my goals? So with the sugar thing, it takes a little bit more pre-planning. I have to think of meals, and I have to find meals that are still gonna get me to the same protein goal, to the same health goals that are sweet treats. And then realizing that, you know, obviously I might be craving like candy, but I'm gonna trade out that candy for a different sweet treat. I still get to keep sweets, and I'm gonna be able to hit my goals. So a lot of the meals I was making was like homemade pancakes, and I'd put like some herbs in them and some healthy, good fats, good proteins, and they would keep me super satiated. And I would literally eat those like on repeat because I would just crave them so heavily until my sugar cravings eventually started to fade away. But preparation is the key here. Preparation is gonna help you beat your bad habits, because if you are not prepared, you're gonna fall into your bad habits. So for example, like at lunch every day, you might be making this excuse that like, oh, I just go out to eat and like we don't stop anywhere good and blah blah blah. That just sounds like a bad habit that you can overcome. So by planning out on a Sunday, like, okay, every day for lunch I don't really know where we're gonna go, I'm just gonna have XYZ in the vehicle or in my work bag so that when we do stop, I have something healthy pre-made. Or meal prepping or something like that. Just address where your bad habits really lie. Is it like you need a sweet treat in the afternoon? You are just like waiting till you get home and you're so hungry, you haven't eaten all day, and then you just pile whatever's easiest available to you in your mouth. Like, address the actual habits and take your little journal right now. You should have this from episode 1. Take your journal right now and start writing these things down so that you can make your perfect routine. And this is just a reminder that everybody has these. If you can't make diets that fit your lifestyle, then nothing's gonna work long term. So maybe that's like just a shift of meal prepping once a week, or buying the right things from the grocery store, you know, having actual healthy meals that you like, different things like that. But we're trying to get you a long-term result here, not overnight abs. Like, this is legitimately something that you're gonna be able to put into your lifestyle. Okay, the next thing I wanna talk about is patterns. So in the same way that you have bad habits where you just slip into something, you probably have a pattern that is recognized by trigger, action, reward. So if you find yourself falling into like a pattern, it's not like, oh, I didn't have food ready, but it's just like, oh, unconsciously I fall into this habit. That is probably a trigger, action, reward. So I'm gonna give you some examples and then how to handle them. So like a good example of trigger, action, reward is emotional eating. So the trigger is probably some sort of negative emotion, whether it's sadness, fear, stress, anxiety, anything, that's your trigger. So innately, you just throughout your day, things are gonna come up and something's gonna trigger that stress, that anger, the sadness, whatever it is. If you don't have a plan that, oh, I need to be consciously aware of this, the second that it's triggered, your action is gonna be eating. So then you just start eating as a coping mechanism. The reward is that temporary comfort from the food. So if you notice that you do this, like maybe you don't notice exactly when it's happening, but you're reflecting now on like times that, you know, you hit your goal, you were at your dream body, and then it just started going downhill because you started started getting really stressed, or because something happened that made you sad, or whatever. Like, this can be on a day to a year long. You know, some people do fight this for their whole entire lifestyle, so that's why, or for their whole entire lifetime, so that's why we need to address it right now. But if you see that you have this trigger action reward pattern, then you want to rewrite it to be solution based. So say your trigger again is like the emotion, which I'm not saying this is exactly how it's going down for you. This can be so many different examples. I just want to give you one with a solution base so that you can think about how it is for you. You can journal it down and then come up with your solution base, and you can start catching yourself in the act of almost stumbling and then get yourself on the right path. So in this scenario, say same thing. You have the emotion, stress, anger, whatever your emotion is, that typically your action would be straight away to go to food. And then you might even be able to recognize like, oh, well, I can't eat. But then not replacing that action, you're still in the cycle. So we want to replace that action with something positive. Instead, you could try journaling, going on a walk, calling a friend, or like, I love journaling because you can write down like, I experienced this emotion, this is what struck that emotion, this is how I'm feeling now, this is what I want to do about that. If I do that, it's not going to help me. You know, like, journaling's great, but obviously sometimes you don't have time for that. So sometimes you just have to recognize that it's happening and then replace it with something positive. This is where it's also good to have like little like extras. So like for me, instead of just reaching at the nearest food you can find or like the most unhealthy thing, you could have like, you know, some veggies and dip or something too if you just are genuinely hungry and you want to eat it. You know, you want to have something, but recognizing that this is a pattern and you want to break the cycle and rewrite to a solution-based cycle. And your reward is the satisfaction from facing the feeling and building yourself up and building your skills to have that feeling again and cope with it positively. So I'm really confident that this is something that you can do and you can apply to your life. I want to know how it goes. Obviously, this is more deep and personal. You might not want to share, but I'm really confident that this is going to work for you. So please don't write off this tip. Actually apply it, put it in your journal, and start working on it because I know it's going to help you. So let's discuss these 6 a.m. morning routines. I think when I was down bad and I was not confident in my body and I was trying to change everything, I was so desperate. I was willing to take advice from anybody and everybody, and whatever they said, like, just because they had my dream body, I was like, I'm gonna do that. Even though I know I'm not a morning time person, I don't like to work out in the morning, and that's not gonna keep me motivated. So this is your reminder that real results come from taking action. You don't just wanna blindly copy somebody else's routine, but actually take action on the things that are gonna get you furthest along, closest to your goal in the least amount of time. So when it comes to your goal setting in your journal, you want to get it out right now. I mentioned this in the first episode, but get your journal out and where you can take all your notes, track your meal plans, track your workouts, everything. And instead of just copying everything that somebody else is doing in their morning routine just because they have your dream body, write down the actual things that you need to do, the most minimal amount, and how you can do them, and when you need to start and how easy you can start. Maybe you just want to start by adding one little thing or taking out one little thing, eating a little bit more vegetables, taking out a little bit more sweet treats, you know, stuff like that, finding one new recipe, just these little things, and then build those up over time so that eventually you are hitting your goal. You don't need to be doing a million jumping jacks, red lighting, sitting in the sauna, waking up at 6 a.m. if that's not something that's actually going to get you towards your goal. Like, saunaing is for a certain kind of health, and right now I think you're trying to lose weight, so it's just like, does that truly get you closest to your goal fastest, or would a workout get you there faster? Or would a nap get you there faster? You only want to be doing the things that serve your journey. All right, so let's customize some of your solutions. So when it comes to your struggles with weight loss, whether it is the trigger action reward, emotional eating, things like that, please write these down, because it is so much easier to take a hold of them and change the script and rewrite your habits if you know exactly what they are. So take some time, maybe throughout the week, as you start to stumble and start to crave foods that you shouldn't be eating, or try to convince yourself you shouldn't be going to the gym, write down the feelings that you're having so that we can overcome them. Then we want to set tangible goals that you can start applying right away. Maybe an example is that you're always dehydrated, and since you're so dehydrated, then you don't want to go to the gym. You don't need to be like, oh, I shouldn't be dehydrated. Instead, write down that you're dehydrated and what you can change in your daily routine to help yourself not get to that point of dehydration that it's demotivating. So for me, say I get dehydrated, then I'm going to be like, okay, at 10, 12, and 2 p.m., I'm going to check in and see how much water I've drank each day, so that I'm making sure that I'm getting the proper amount of water or hydration, and then it's going to keep me motivated throughout the day. But just setting these actual things that align with your goal. So maybe it is throughout the week, you're not, you need to keep your constant motivation. You're trying to go to the gym versus like following somebody else's routine that's just like, yep, I go running every single day for 45 minutes. Do you really need to run if you're already going to the gym? Like, what is a customized routine for you? This is your personal journey, so what works for you might not work for others, and that's why there's so much information out there of people sharing their personal testimonies, because you have to find a flow for yourself. And when you're just starting, it's so easy to get manipulated into all this other mumbo jumbo out there. But in all reality, like, a little bit of reflection is gonna get you to your goal so much faster because you have such a clear-cut path to get there. And you always wanna do a little bit of self-reflection, just writing down everything. So how you're feeling, or if you have a thought in the middle of the day but you don't have time to take care of it yet. Okay, I didn't have enough food for this week, so then halfway through the week I had to give up on it. Okay, I was always tired, so then I'm skipping the gym on Wednesdays. Write these things down so that over time you can cater your routine, and instead of just fighting it and being like, well, I'm always tired on Wednesdays, I need to get out of here. Maybe it's because on Monday you have your busiest, most packed day, you do your hardest workout, that's the longest, when you could swap that workout to be on Fridays when you're bored and you have nothing going on, and then on Monday you do an easier workout, so then by Tuesday you're still motivated. On Wednesday you still have that get up and go. This is just like the type of catering your routine that as you go on your dream body goals and you go through this whole entire process, you'll get better at having these internal conversations. Like, you won't think twice about it. You'll be like, oh, okay, I'll eat this then, and then I'll go here then. Like, it will be no extra thought. But when you're first starting out and you're taking in all this information, this is like the best thing you can do, is just get really clear on things and write it all down and have your self-reflection. This is your reminder that progress comes from taking action, not just goal setting. Also, if you're trying to stay motivated and stay on this journey and you liked what you saw, I have a whole entire, it's like 15 videos, I believe. You can watch the playlist from start to finish in one day, or you could watch them weekly to keep you motivated. I'm gonna be here all the time giving you the tips that help me and just sharing my experience with you. Please comment down below, introduce yourself, just say hi. We would love to have you here as part of the community. And just a reminder that your journey is unique and you've got this. Thanks, bye.